What's going on, guys? In this video, I want to talk about my diet routine and then my diet schedule, I guess you should say, that I had when I was trying to lose weight. And in specific, how I was able to lose over 30 pounds in only 1 month. If you guys haven't checked out my transformation video, you guys should definitely do that. I'll have a link in the description for my overall transformation so you can see just how much weight I lost and just the difference that my body, like the look of my body, I guess. So definitely check that out. I'll have a link in the description. One last quick thing before we get started. I just want to note that this diet and stuff was specifically designed for my body type and for my goal, I guess. And so pretty much what I was trying to do is I was trying to just lose weight. I was not trying to put on muscle at the same time. So if this is something you guys want to try and you are planning on going and slimming down and putting on muscle, this might not be for you. And also, I did some kind of questionable diet things, and you probably want to get this checked with a doctor beforehand. I can't be responsible if you guys go and attempt this and something happens. You'll understand what I'm talking about because this is somewhat dangerous, my diet. So definitely, like I said, check with a doctor or medical professional beforehand. I can't say that I had any part of you guys trying this, but it's definitely something you can try. Just make sure you get it checked out first. And anyways, let's get started. So week 1 was pretty standard. When it came to diet, I didn't exactly know where I wanted to go with it. So pretty much all I started doing for week 1, which was the most simplest week for me, was I was cutting back on sugars. So what I did was I stopped drinking soda, which, I mean, technically I haven't been drinking soda for a while now. The first time I had soda in like 3 or 4 years was in January. So I don't really drink soda, and I started getting rid of tea, iced tea. I was still able to technically have like green tea and warm teas, but I was staying away from the cold, sugary teas. And I also cut back a lot on juice. Now that took away some of my vitamins, so I definitely, when I was doing this, I was taking vitamins and trying to make sure that I kept all those good things about juice in me without actually getting like the extra sugars and things like that. Besides just cutting back on sugars, another thing I was doing is I was intermittent fasting. So if you guys don't know what that is, pretty much it's where you have timed eating and drinking technically. So pretty much how I was doing this was between 12 o'clock, so like noon, and 8 o'clock at night. Any time in between that, I was allowed to eat or drink. If it was before that or after that, I wasn't allowed to eat or drink anything. And the way this helps with my body is my body stops trying to like digest food when it's too late at night. I'm sure a lot of you guys have had parents at one point that has told you, oh, don't eat too late at night or something because it'll sit in your body. Not exactly for those reasons, but that's pretty much what I was doing. So between noon and 8 p.m., I was eating, and anytime other than that, I was not. And what the foods were I was eating when that was going on was I was trying to really cut back on my actual intake. So I was eating things that weren't exactly, they didn't have a lot of fats necessarily, and I was having a lot of soup, salads, things that I kind of figured were a little more healthy, even though like I know soup has a lot of sodium, things like that. But for this first week, I was just trying to cut back on that stuff. Week 2 was much different. Reason being, instead of like day intermittent fasting, I kind of changed it to where I would water fast one day and then I'd eat the next day, water fast, eat the next day, and do this for the week. And so pretty much what water fasting is where you don't eat anything for a whole day, and you only drink water, and then obviously you can tell the next day I would eat, and so I would do this on and off. And as someone who has done water fasting before, I know my limits with it, I know everything like that, and this is kind of why I was saying that you should definitely check with a medical professional beforehand, because this can be very dangerous if done wrong, whether you're not drinking enough water or you're drinking too much water. So pretty much I would water fast a day, and then when I would go and eat, I decided where I finally was at. I would eat 2 meals a day, one around noon and one around 4 to 5. And what I started cutting back on now was I tried to take in as few carbs as I possibly could, and I also tried getting rid of some of the fatty dairies, which was kind of hard because I normally would eat a lot of cheese, I would drink milk, things like that. I was still doing the other things, cutting back on sugars and everything, but now I was cutting back on my carbs. And this really, overall, it made me feel more tired on this schedule, but I definitely started seeing results much more from that. Week 3 was pretty much the same thing outside of a couple small changes. And what that was instead of now going and eating a day and then fasting a day, eating a day, fasting a day, now I was fasting for 2 days and eating for 1 day. So I basically doubled it. So I think it came out to I was eating 3 times a week and fasting for a little more. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe it's 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So I was eating about 2 to 3 times a week, just give or take. Sometimes the week, it didn't add up, but that's pretty much what the schedule was, and I was still doing all the previous diet things, but now on the days I was eating, I added a couple more things with I upped my protein a little. So for one meal, I would include a small protein shake where instead of a regular 2 scoops of protein powder that I would use when I go to work out and everything, I would instead go and I would have 1 scoop of protein powder at some point. Normally the earlier on I would have it. And I would also just have that with water. I wouldn't have it with milk, so I'd just mix it around in water and drink it. And then also, another thing I was doing was I was adding fish. So my dinner meal, or normally whenever, it could be my noon meal or whatever, I was having fish and things high in protein. Week 4 was honestly the most crazy week for dieting, and that's because I now upped it to I would fast for 3 days, eat for a day, fast for half a day, eat for the second half of the day, and repeat. So this normally would happen about twice in the week, and this one technically rolled over a little bit into after a month, so I guess you could say it was a month and a day or 2 transformation, whatever, if you want to get technical. But pretty much, like I said, I would fast for the 3 days, so water fasting for 3 days, and that is again why I said it is dangerous. It's not for everyone, but you can get really nice results. Just make sure you check with a medical professional first. And then for the days that I would eat, again, I was cutting back on carbs, I wasn't taking in a ton of sugars, and I was only eating 2 meals a day. But what was cool is I could up the amount of calories for that meal. So pretty much where normally I was trying to maybe have a meal that consisted of somewhere between 500 and 600 calories, now I was able to up it to say 800 calories a meal and add something extra to my meal. And also around this time I started adding a glass of milk with my protein powder. So I was upping the protein, but keep in mind at the same time I was upping my exercise and everything like that. So as my food intake was going up, my exercise was also, and I'll probably later on have a future video talking specifically about my exercise plan and everything like that. But pretty much, so that's what was happening. And then on the day where I was only half eating, I normally would have some form of carb. So I would normally have, say, a tortilla shell or something, and I'd fill it with vegetables and stuff like that. Or I would have half a slice of bread and I'd throw some cheese on it or something like that. just so I could get in some carbs, because around the 4th week I was feeling extremely tired from my diet, but overall I got some really nice results. Anyways guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video and it could inform you about maybe a way to try to actually go and lose some extra pounds. And like I said, definitely check with a medical professional. This can be kind of dangerous, especially with how I was doing it and exercising at the same time. And speaking of exercise, like I said, I will soon be having a video specifically talking about my exercise routine week by week, what I was doing and everything like that. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell to get notified anytime I put a new video out, and wait for that video. Also share this with your friends. Maybe they need to drop a few pounds. Drop a like on this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.